Hello, everyone. Welcome to the new episode of Laughing Over Lab Code. I'm glad today. Today, my guest is Nikkhil Masurkar. He's been the CEO of Entod Pharmaceuticals now for 14 years, more than 14 years. And today, Nikhil, this is more of a fun podcast, and we will know more about you and your business. So, the intention of this podcast is to know the story behind you, behind the leadership expertise, and what Entod is doing and how they will be moving ahead. So, basically, this is the gist of this podcast, and it's a fun episode, so we can keep it casual. So let's begin with you with your story, right from where you were born, and please take it from there.
Yeah, firstly, thanks, Anirudh, for having me on this podcast. Yeah, it'll be great for me to share my experience. I think before I share my experience, I would like to just kind of highlight where it all started. So it started with my great-grandmother in rural Karnataka in the 1920s. She lost her husband at a very young age. She then, with whatever knowledge of medicines she had, she used to go to the forests, collect herbs, make her own medicines, and then sell it in the rural areas in Karnataka. She became a household name in rural Karnataka and in the neighboring villages. And my grandfather, her son, was very inspired by that journey. He ended up becoming one of India's first few registered pharmacists. And he always had this dream of making his own medicines inspired by his mother's journey. He then went into the pharmaceutical industry. He worked as a medical rep for most of his career. He got then promoted to marketing manager of a very top pharma company of those times in the 1960s. And he was then called as India's Crocin man. He launched paracetamol in India. He launched the brand Crocin. He named it as well, and he made it into a big prescription success. And then he retired early because he had a passion to make his own medicines. And that's how Entod was born. So that's how it started in terms of my own journey. Obviously, my dad then took the company forward by leaps and bounds, and I was inspired by my dad's journey and obviously the family legacy in pharmaceuticals. I went to the UK to study pharmacy, and not even once did my parents push me into the business. I did it with my own kind of interest. So after my pharmacy degree in the UK, I set up a company there because I wanted to have a first-hand experience of business and how to run a pharma business. And then I moved back in 2011. I joined the family business actively. Uh, and From that day to today, it's been a great journey where we've seen tremendous growth, um, be it in sales, in our marketing strategies, in new product development, in terms of internationalizing our brand. It's been a teamwork. It's not just me by myself, and I don't want to, only talk about myself, but it's been good family leadership, if I can call that, which has allowed us to reach this position. And we still have a long way to go. I mean, we've done fantastically well so far, but as my granddad always said that, success is only for 10 seconds, where you feel good about it, you celebrate, you feel motivated, and then it's back to square one. So we still feel that we have only just started. Our company's been around for 48 years, but it feels like we are just beginners in many ways. And I think that mindset of feeling like you're a beginner, I think, is the key to success in any industry.
This is so exciting, Nikhil. Like, not everybody gets such a, how do you say, a legacy in one business. I read about this story on your website as well, about your great grandmother. Yes. So you did mention about that you started a business in UK. So what business was that?
So that was a research company because my interest has always been in pharmaceutical research. So I did my pharmacy in King's College, London. I then went on into research. I worked with a few labs and formulation development, developing newer drug delivery systems was always my primary kind of interest. So I set up a research company which deals with ophthalmic research itself, because I wanted to explore that scene in a bigger way, from a UK perspective. So that company is still there, very much active, doing very well. We have even commercialized some research products from that company in the UK. It's separately managed. And that actually gave me the confidence to run a business in India. And when I came to India, I had a research mindset. I didn't understand the ropes of business in India. India is a completely different ball game when it comes to managing a business. But I had the technical knowledge. And I think the technical knowledge that stemmed from the UK and my experience there, and having worked with a lot of researchers in the UK, gave me the confidence that, what, I can do something in my own country, and change the research ecosystem in the years to come. And today that is happening. And I'm happy that I made that decision to come back to my own country where it matters the most. They say that India is your kind of karma bhumi,
Yes.
and you may study anywhere in the world, you may get skills from any part of the world, but ultimately you need to deliver those skills and deliver your responsibilities in your homeland. And that is what I did. And I'm proud of that. And it's a privilege to be part of this journey.
No, it's indeed adorable, Nikhil, because I'm sure it's not that easy coming from a technical background and then coming in a bit of management role. I'm sure it must be difficult and a lot of lessons, and the journey must have been experience good in that way. So just coming back to your King's College, you did your master's there. Do you think any part of that education helped you with what you today are in your experience as a CEO?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the technical skills that I gained in pharmaceuticals, drug development, even things like radio pharmacy, and also understanding the commercialization of research. Research is all and good. I mean, if you are doing it as a laboratory exercise, but then how do you commercialize a product? And in my experience, during my days in King's College, I came across a lot of researchers who owned and who were part of global patents. I learned about how they commercialize it in the US, in a lot of the Western markets. And I think that really equipped me with the knowledge that I needed and the expertise that I needed to make this into a reality someday in India. In India, when I entered the Indian market, when I started working here in India with Entod, it was more like in those days, more a copycat market, more a Me Too market. And I was like, how are we going to research? How are we going to have R&D projects that could be commercialized and give a return on investment? And I think that initial skills I developed in the UK. And I realized that here you could actually have a system where you could research new chemical entities, new molecules, new formulations, and then make them massive commercial global successes. So definitely that was a great learning experience for me. And today I'm glad to say that there are also some very good pharmacy colleges here in India. And looking back at it, if I were to study pharmacy now in 2025, I wouldn't go to the UK. I went to the UK in 1999, but in 2025, India is a whole new ball game. I visited a lot of pharmacy schools here in India also, and I've been very impressed. And, I wouldn't advise my kids to study. I'm not sure about, I can't talk for other fields, but definitely when it comes to pharmacy, I would advise them to be here in India, because here it's not just about the technical knowledge, it's about how to actually make it work, how to make it happen, which I think is more important. The mindset is more important than just the material knowledge that you have in pharmaceuticals. And India is a right place to understand the mindset and hope. And now we are moving from a volume-driven industry to a more value-driven ecosystem. And this is the time when our youth should be here in India and trying to get the most out of it and really contribute to the nation.
So true, true, Nikhil. Well said. And when I was trying to do research for this podcast, and when I was trying to research you and Entod Pharma, the most of the time myopia popped up the most of the times. So coming to this question, how did you identify the need for child myopia control? And what was the journey behind developing India's such first drops in India?
So, I've been very close to the medical profession, especially the ophthalmic medical profession. Interacting, engaging with eye doctors, eye surgeons, not just in India but all over the world. And I've done that, quite well in the last 14 years. And one of the things that came up was, the myopia pandemic, which people were talking about even before the COVID pandemic. Since 2015, 2016, there were studies done in Singapore which talked about myopia, which is basically, short-sightedness in children, and that it's going to explode, it's going to be huge. And we were talking about it, and we started getting into myopia research right from 2015, and we then subsequently had one of the first commercialized medicines for myopia here in India. So we were talking about it for a long time. Then the COVID pandemic happened, and one of the things to come out of it is myopia, which kind of, the number of cases of myopia kind of, a lot of the studies out there have shown that there's been a drastic increase in myopia uh, prevalence in India, and that's because of the smart screen exposure, I would say overexposure of smart screens, children being more indoors. All of these were kind of fueled by the COVID pandemic, which then further fueled the myopia pandemic. So if you ask any eye doctor today, they would call myopia as the silent pandemic. And it is, because in India, it's estimated that 1 in every 4 children suffers from myopia. Most of them undiagnosed, because they're detected quite late. And if nothing is done about it, by 2047, it's expected 1 in every 2 children in India will be myopic. And that is a huge number. And especially we have a young population. You can imagine by 2047, the number of adults who will have eye problems if nothing is done about it now. The problem with myopia is that it's more than a visual defect. It is that if it is not controlled at a young age, it would lead to a lot of severe eye consequences in the future. Like, for example, it could lead to early cataracts. It could lead to early retinal problems. It could lead to uh, earlier, cases of glaucoma. There's a lot of issues that myopia can cause if left untreated, in children. And when those children grow up and they become what we call as high myopes, they are subjected to a lot of eye, conditions. So this is something that we wanted to fight, and we wanted to tackle this. No one was looking into it. People were only focusing on, cataract and, glaucoma and all of those, which rightly so. There was that's still the need of the hour, but myopia is something which no one was talking about, and we started talking about it in 2015. And even today in 2025, 10 years, down the line, we are still talking about it. And now, not just us, but many people are talking about it. So I think
Yes.
that's why we are passionate about it.
Recently, I visited an ophthalmologist. I saw an awareness posters about myopia even in their clinic as well. So, coming to
Yeah, it's
Entod,
it's there everywhere. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
wherever you go, you will see an awareness of myopia. We've done a lot of work to raise the awareness of myopia in the public as well. We run our National Myopia Week every year. Plus, all throughout the year, we do activities on radio, on TV, physical activities on the ground, right from villages to cities, in remote areas. Almost most of the districts in India where we have done some or the other myopia awareness activity, because the public need to know what myopia is. Doctors know already, but the parents don't take their children for checkups, and that is something that we've been trying to push in the last few years. And to some extent, we have been successful, but I believe we have a long way to go in really making myopia into kind of into one of the top awareness projects when it comes to healthcare in India.
Yeah. So Entos has a presence of now in over 67 countries. So I would like to, if you can share your experience, how did you scale from domestic brand to global player? What were the challenges you faced, and how was the journey?
So, I mean, for us, we've always been a very India first uh, company, where I believe that in India, like if you look at our Indian pharma industry, almost 56% of our industry is exports and 44% is domestic business. Largely, if you look at India as a domestic, opportunity, I think it is largely untapped. We have almost 850 million, 50 million people in India who pay for their medicines, where the scope is, unlimited. So India itself is an untapped market, if you ask me, in many ways. Even though our industry is very big and we've done some great work, I mean, the entire industry has done very well in the last 10 years. But so India was our focus. Beyond India, the countries of the global south was an area of focus. So we focus, heavily now on Southeast Asian countries, on African countries, those kind of emerging markets where, the big US companies don't really have much of a say or much of a active presence. Because what India can offer to these global South countries is cost-effective innovation. Beyond just, cost-effective generics, there is an opportunity to, flood these kind of emerging markets where there is a need of the hour. So our focus has always been serving the more, underprivileged, or can I call it semi-privileged markets, rather than looking at privileged markets like the US, who always had who've always had it. They've always had it with good molecules. They've always been privileged and blessed with all the latest innovations in the pharma industry globally, whereas many other countries haven't had that privilege. And our role has always been to go to those countries who are kind of less privileged, and kind of exert our leadership in those markets. And that's what we're doing. So our experience has been very positive. We've always been seen as a good, leader in those countries wherever we've expanded to, or where we have our operations. We have a long way to go when you look at our global operations. We only started focusing on the global markets, I would say, around 4 to 5 years ago. But I think we're on the right track. And the challenges have not been that great because we are not targeting the regulated markets. And actually, in many ways, we have no interest in the regulated markets, because if you even look at the geopolitical scene now, there is a lot of uncertainty in the industry globally because of certain regulated markets, and this is where I think India can really lead the way.
So after India, which is the biggest market for Entod?
So we have very good, strong markets in the Philippines, for example, where there are a huge number of ophthalmologists, dermatologists, and ENT specialists. We have Vietnam is a good market for us. We have, um, you know, uh, Cambodia, which again not many companies focus on. Malaysia. So these are the strong markets in Southeast Asia where we're doing well. In Africa, we have Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, even South Africa. So these are the kind of good markets. Then in the West, we have a good presence in the Caribbean islands, where we have introduced some really new molecules. It's just off the coast of the US, but we've done really well there. So we only select certain markets where we believe that we could create a positive impact, rather than just look at it from a a market dominance point of view or from a revenue point of view. Revenue comes by default when you really have a good intent and you're targeting the market in the right way. Wherever there is an ophthalmic need, we go and we find that we do well in those markets. So that is our strong point now. But now we're expanding to other markets also. We're looking at markets like Russia, like Egypt, like Ukraine, where there are issues in the supply chain, especially when it comes to eye care. There are disruptions because of various reasons. So we are looking at new markets. Even the Central Asian markets as well is a good opportunity for us. So we are expanding globally very fast. But again, wherever we expand, we give a lot of thought into where we actually want to have a long-term impact.
Yes. And are there particular challenges that Indian pharma company face when they enter global ophthalmic market?
See, the ophthalmic market is a very niche market. It's not like the other segments of the pharma industry. There are challenges always in terms because see, we are selling sterile medicines where there is zero room for any quality issues. Not that there is in non-sterile products, but we are dealing with products which enter the eyes, which is a very sensitive organ. So there has to be a trust factor, there has to be credibility, which we work on, very aggressively. Like we call our partners from those countries into our R&D centers in India, to make them realize what kind of quality obsession we have when it comes to sterile products. So first, we need to do a lot of brand building. We need to grow the credibility, and show them about what we've done in India. We've been around for 48 years, remarkably well, a very good quality record in India. We've been trusted by almost three generations of doctors in India. And when the partners in those countries see all of this, that's when they understand that they could trust the brand. And when they trust the brand, things just move very fast. So initially, we do have these challenges to get into the good books to make them see what we are genuinely doing. And then once you get past that barrier, the sky is the limit.
True, true, true. And Entod also have dermatological products, correct? They are intended for domestic market, or you will be again approaching for export as well?
So we started our derma, segment in India just after the pandemic. It was intended mostly for the Indian markets, but now we're getting a lot of the export queries as well, and we're going down that route also. So slowly we are expanding internationally in the derma segment, especially in the cosmetic segment of dermatology. And it's an exciting scene because what we wanted to do in dermatology is that to develop innovative products in the cosmetic aesthetic space, which are on par with the French cosmetics, with the French skincare brands, with the Korean skincare brands.
Mhm.
I myself spent a lot of time in France and in South Korea as well to understand exactly what is happening in those markets, what we could learn from those markets, and how we can adapt it to an Indian setting, and to the Indian skin type. And I'm really happy and proud that we have been able to develop some really groundbreaking formulations in the cosmetic aesthetic space. But we have a long way to go. And definitely the internationalization of our derma segment is happening now. But we're taking it slow because we want to do it in the right way. And India is still our focus area. We're expanding very rapidly in dermatology in India. And the focus is probably 95% in India right now when it comes to derma, and probably 5% focus on internationalizing the brand.
Okay. So coming to current pharma landscape, which we discussed about, what is your viewpoint on the role of innovation in formulation versus innovation in API?
So I think if you're talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat,
Hmm.
you need to have innovation in both R&D, in API development and production, and in manufacturing as well. Right now, we are more or less Atmanirbhar Bharat when it comes to manufacturing. We have a great manufacturing infrastructure in pharmaceuticals in India. But we are in the process of building our infrastructure when it comes to R&D and APIs. I mean, if I can give you some stats, India is the third largest market in pharma globally by volume, 14th largest by value, and we are the largest generics drugs manufacturer of the world. We supply the largest number of, we're the largest supplier of vaccines in the world. But the opportunities that are there, if you look at India, is that we still rely heavily on China for our APIs.
Yeah.
I believe as of now, I mean, I was reading recently that almost 70% of our dependency is currently there from APIs from coming from China. And that is why the government has taken active steps when it comes to the PLI schemes for APIs to really boost, kind of the Indian development and manufacturing of APIs. And I think in the years to come, that scene will also change. We will become more reliant, more self-reliant when it comes to APIs. And even from an R&D perspective, I think we are already moving towards that stage. So I think in 10 years' time, what we call as Atmanirbhar Bharat will be, a more, a better reality than what it is now. We have a long way to go, but I think we are definitely on the right track.
So we spoke about Entod in detail, Nikhil. Now coming back to you, you describe yourself as a follower of Sanatana Dharma, and you also live a vegan lifestyle. How do you think these values influence your leadership?
See, I think, we are, I mean, whatever mission you're trying to embark on, you need some kind of inspiration, right? You need motivation. Now, you can get it from in various ways. One is I'm deeply inspired by my grandfather, his journey, and my father and his journey, and even my great grandmother, and she started it all. Beyond that, you have to have a mechanism to inspire you to achieve something for humankind. And spirituality is something that deeply inspires me to achieve that. And my grandfather always believed that science and spirituality are the two sides of the same coin. You can't do one without the other. You have to, embark on both the journeys in order to actually achieve something for your people, and to make some contribution in the world for whatever time you're alive. So I've always been deeply spiritual, and I've learned a lot about spirituality from my father, from my grandfather, and from my family legacy. And This is something I think that guides me. It allows me to innovate. It allows me to realize that we don't live forever. We have a limited period, and in that time you need to do whatever you can to so that your innovations can last, can stand the test of time. Now we are making medicines for myopia, for presbyopia, for all of that. I mean, we will not live forever, but our medicines should live forever. Our innovations should live forever. Now that mindset can only be developed if you are spiritual,
Yeah.
where you realize that you're doing something for the long haul. So I think spirituality guides me every day. It allows me to be a better person. It allows me to inculcate those spiritual values even in my organization as well, in my team. And I'm not talking, when I talk about spirituality, I'm not talking about religious. It
Yeah.
could be spirituality that comes from any source. But as long as people have faith and they're spiritual, I think they kind of embark on the right path in life. And this is why spirituality is very important for our organization as well. So this has helped me, and it is helping my team. It is helping, anyone who's associated with Entod knows that we deeply value Indian philosophy, spirituality. We are deeply grounded in terms of our culture. And through all of this, we want to excel in science.
So, do you read books, Nikhil, generally? A spiritual book or leadership books?
No, I don't actually. I mean, I
Oh,
know a lot of leaders and CEOs, they read a lot of books. I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but I don't read any books. I can,
okay.
boldly make this claim and this statement because I think, I think once you know what your mission is
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and you have the best guiding force for you, which is your father, your grandfather, your great grandmother, and blessings from the Almighty. I don't think one needs to read books. I think you know it all and you learn as you go along, and
Yeah, yeah,
you
yes.
become very vigilant of the world around you. You learn about how to do it. You make mistakes, in your journey, and then you kind of, improve them and you do even better. And I think that journey we need to enjoy,
Yeah.
rather than us kind of adhering to one book with one mindset or one kind of guideline. Yes, I mean, I do have mentors, I do have gurus, but there are many of them, and I really believe in this day and age. I don't believe someone can have just one guru. I think your guru can come from various sources. It could be your teacher from school who I'm still in touch with. It could be even your staff.
Yeah,
It could be your
yeah, yeah.
parents. It could be somebody you meet on the road. So I think there is it's a kind of very multi-leveled uh, guru system that we are living in because the world is very complicated, and so that is why I don't read books. I just understand people around me. I understand my doctors. I understand what people need, what medicines are the need of the hour, and I think that is what truly guides me and my family.
So tell me, Nikhil, one person whom you would like to meet, and what would you like to discuss with that person whom you have not met, and probably he's like a how do you say, digital mentor to you as of now, something like that. Who would be that person?
See, I think there's not that many. I mean, if I could say the first person I would love to meet is our Prime Minister, uh, Modi ji, who I'm always, been deeply inspired by. And I think he has inculcated a spirit of nationalism in all of us
Very
that has allowed us to excel not just in India but worldwide also. And for that reason, I'm not talking about any political reason. I'm very apolitical in my views, but I'm very nationalistic, very patriotic in what I do. And I think our Prime Minister is the first person I would like to meet because I think he would also deeply inspire me even more than what he has even without meeting me. That's the first person I would love to meet. And even if I have a 5 second
nice.
meeting with him physically, I think that would really charge me up for the rest of my life. And I that would really allow me to further contribute to the nation. The second person I would like to meet from an innovation point of view is Elon Musk, who I've always been inspired by because of his boldness when it comes to innovation. Now, I don't care about his political affiliations and what's happened recently. I've been following his successes right from early 2015, and I've been deeply inspired by what he has done. Against all odds, the innovation that he has got involved in, be it in space technology, be it in green energy, kind of EVs and all of that, and now obviously social media and all of that. I mean, I think that is something that motivates me to take calculated risks when it comes to R&D. That spirit comes from there, and it comes from some of his successes. So I think apart from these two people, I don't think I would like to meet anyone. I meet my father almost every day. I think that is more than enough to give me whatever I need.
So true. I read some article also where they called you the Elon Musk of ophthalmics. So I was reading that in some newspaper article. It was there. Yeah. Nikhil, I also wanted to speak about the logo of Entod. It has a lotus in it. Is it specifically symbolizes something?
Yeah, so the basically the logo was coined by my grandfather, who uh, basically it's an amalgamation of science and spirituality. So the outer benzene ring is chemistry and signifies science. The inner lotus signifies spirituality and divinity. And as I had said earlier in the podcast, that my grandfather believed that science and spirituality are, two sides of the same coin, and that coin is what Entod is for him, was for him, and is for him. So that is what our logo means. So it's a very powerful symbol of how Indian philosophy, spirituality can lead to scientific advancement. And this is why our company is very much focused on scientific advancements in innovation, in R&D, in clinical trials, because I think that is the way forward. And the logo kind of empowers us in spirit to go ahead and do that.
It is so nice to learn that the values are coming from your legacy of blending the spirituality as well as the science. It's nice to know. So coming to the Indian pharma market, where do you see Indian pharma market heading now, especially in ophthalmologic or and specialty care?
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at the market, at least the ophthalmic market, I feel, the ophthalmic market is yet to boom, and I think what will make it boom in the coming years is the awareness of eye care in India. All this time we have, quite neglected our eyes for various reasons, because we don't, when we can see well, no one really bothers about it.
Yes.
But now, because of the advent of smart screens, smartphones, overexposure of screen, and our lives have become completely digitalized, the our eyes are under unprecedented strain and stress, and that will lead to more eye-related problems across the entire population, right from children to senior citizens. And I think that will also help in more awareness of eye conditions. More people will end up having to go to eye doctors to get their eyes checked, not just for their cataracts, but also, as children, also in their teens, also in their 30s. And that will grow the market. So it's currently a 4,500 crore market. It's been showing last 4 or 5 years very good growth at almost 13 to 15% on average. I feel that is just the tip of the iceberg. I think this market is going to boom, in the years to come. And in the other specialties, dermatology is already a very big market. A 14,500 crore market is growing at almost 9-10% on average. That's doing well. And the respiratory market also is showing good growth. And that's a much larger market, 18,000 crore market. So I think about, I mean, if you look at the overall scenario of the specialty fields, I think there is really good scope in India. And most of what we call as pandemics are linked to these specialities. You look at potentially what could be the next pandemic, it could be respiratory driven. And the pandemic, when it comes to myopia, is already there. We're already kind of living it, although it may be the early days, but we're still part of it. And this is where I think the industry can act and can help our people.
And what structural gaps still exist in Indian pharma market, especially for an entrepreneur?
I mean, structural gaps, I think, there's always challenges in India, which have improved. I mean, it's
Mhm.
kind of become a much better place to do business, even in pharma now. And
Yeah.
the government is also, kind of helping in this process. We've seen a lot of schemes that have come out in the last 2 years to further boost innovation and technology advancements in pharma. And that has helped younger entrepreneurs who want to enter this field, especially in the biotech fields, where we're seeing a lot of movement, we're seeing a lot of investment pouring in from all over the world. because they see the possibilities of genuine innovation here. So all that is happening, but there are still challenges. I think we still need to upskill our teams. I think skills enhancement is a big area which I think India needs to work on, in the months and years to come. I think the research ecosystem is changing, no doubt, but I think a lot more R&D schemes are required in India. Recently, the government announced its PRIP scheme, where they've set aside around 5,000 crores to especially companies in the MSME segment to boost innovation in this segment, which is a great kind of welcome move, but I think those schemes have to be pushed further. And not just in manufacturing, but as I said at the start, both in API development, manufacturing, and in R&D, we need continuous push from the government as well, because the people are there to do it.
Yeah.
There are entrepreneurs. What we need is a better ecosystem, and an ecosystem that changes much faster.
Mm.
So although the gaps are there, the people are there. We need a bit more. We need to upskill our own people, as I said, and we need a faster change in the landscape for us to really kind of uh, be Atmanirbhar in the next 10 years.
You did mention young entrepreneurs just now. So what advice would you like to give someone who will be starting their new venture in pharma now?
See, the only, I think, advice I would give them is that we are living in an environment where funding is not an issue.
Okay.
More or less, as long as you have a genuine project in hand, there are enough investors who, will invest, be it
Mhm.
private equity firms or venture capitalists, or, or even the banks. So money is not a problem. I think the biggest challenge is the mindset. So if any young entrepreneur has an ambition to innovate genuinely, to invest in the R&D that could give a return on investment, I think that should be the way to go. I think what we don't want is another 1,000 pharma companies to come with just Me Too products and copy paste kind of medicines. We don't want that, because that will kill innovation in India. So what we need is people who have a genuine research mindset. They may not be technically qualified like myself, but they need to have a research mindset, to really go on the right path. And that is happening now. We are seeing, like in cities like Hyderabad, which is like you could call it the biotech hub in India. There are a lot of young entrepreneurs who have invested in some of these projects, and it's very heartening to see that. And that is happening in rest of India also. In Ahmedabad, for example, we're seeing it in even in Mumbai, in Bangalore. It's good to see that young people are taking these, I would say, more calculated R&D risks with in their ventures. And actually, that is the only way to go. I mean, if you want to, be a global innovator in pharma and biotech, our youngsters are going to do it for us in a much better way than what we're doing right now.
So are there any opportunities for startups to work with Entod? Maybe tech or R&D or branding?
I mean, obviously, we are a very open organization. We are working with quite a few research institutes already, both in India and also internationally. We are always open for, meaningful collaborations wherever we feel that it will be in line with what we're trying to achieve within our sectors or segments. We would also, I mean, are open to, collaborating with tech startups also, especially in the field of artificial intelligence. I mean, there is a lot of talk about AI in pharma. We are also, taking that very seriously. We need good AI platforms for drug discovery, for indigenous research, beyond just using AI for marketing and sales, which is happening already for quite a few years. As the AI platforms, generative AI gets more and more complex and more advanced, that will only work if we have collaboration. So as an organization, we're always open to new ideas, younger minds, and we are, we feel in this day and age you can't do something by yourself.
Yeah.
You need to have good collaborations to really kind of make things happen.
You already answered my last question. I was about to ask you about AI. So, but as a person, I mean, do you use AI as your for your own things as well, for your own personal reasons as well, beside Entod?
See, I think the AI we've been using, not just myself,
Mhm.
but even in our organization, we use AI very actively. I
Okay.
think it allows us to be more efficient. It
Mhm.
allows us to do things faster. We can do 10 things in one go with the AI. I mean, for us, it's not humanly possible to do a lot of activities, especially repetitive activities. What these AI platforms and softwares can do. So we actively use the AI. We have also kind of included it in our organizational systems as well. And I think that is making a huge change. And I think the thing is, once people realize the real benefit of
Yeah.
AI in business, I think that's when you just can't do without it.
Mhm.
And it is not that it's going to be a replacement for human minds. I don't think no matter how much AI advances into, artificial super intelligence or, whatever you want to call it, I think you cannot replace the judgment of the human mind. And I think we are going to move to a stage where our minds are going to make those right decisions and judgments, which AI will not be able to do. AI will give us guidance, it will give us a strategy. Ultimately, we need to put them in place and we need to take the final call. So I think it will be a great, I would say, an assistant
Yeah.
in our endeavors to achieve what we have to.
I personally strongly believe this, Nikhil, that AI is not here to replace jobs, but it will be working alongside, and it will give you a faster, how do you say, results or better results, and it will of course help in better innovation as well going ahead. So, Nikhil, any point you feel I have missed out which we should have talked about?
No, I think you've covered most of it. I think the main kind of area that I want to get into, finally, is that for India, the way forward in pharmaceuticals is to move from our low cost volume business
Yeah,
to high value volume business. And for that to happen, we need at least 40% of our exports and our pharma industry domestic sales to come from high value
yeah,
innovation driven products rather than low cost generics. And I think that is the way we need to move forward. And that is happening. We will see it happen. India has a very ambitious plan of reaching a $450 billion mark by 2047 during what we call as Viksit Bharat.
mm,
For that to happen, we need to move up the innovation ladder,
yeah,
move up the value ladder, if I can say that, and be more self-reliant in R&D and research. So that is happening now. A lot of patents filed in the last 2 years have come from Indian farmers
yeah.
rather than the foreign MNCs. And I think that will drive innovation in our country. And our youngsters, as I keep saying very often, need to understand this and take charge of the situation.
Very, very well said, Nikhil. I see that in the market as well, that people are open to try innovative things rather than just going, even in pharmaceutical or OTC product, or you can say the supplement area that is growing hugely in India. So especially where people or consumers sees value, they are opting it. Even if it comes with a value, I mean the price is a bit high, but still it is acceptable now in India. It was not before, but yes, I see that. Fantastic, Nikhil. It was very nice
Even in
of
in
you.
pharma.
Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Sorry, just to kind of
Yeah,
one point I missed out is that even the regulatory landscape in India is drastically changing for the better. If you look at some of the decisions that our CDSCO has taken in the last 2 years in
Mhm.
the area of public health, pharmacovigilance, and kind of better monitoring the quality of medicines, I think that is the way forward for India. I think not just are we growing as a industry, but we are becoming much more quality conscious, which is coming from our regulator
Yeah,
directly. And I think that will also fuel uh, further confidence and trust in Indian pharma globally, and help also improve our competitiveness in the world.
that's it. So we'll conclude the session, Nikhil. Thank you for coming on the podcast. It was really nice speaking with you. It was nice knowing you as a person. It was nice to know about Entod Pharmaceutical, its vision ahead, and so many other things. So best of luck for your journey, and let's hope we can meet soon and take this ahead. Thank you.
Niro, thanks for having me on this podcast. Really appreciate it. It was a good conversation, and I would love to meet you physically as well. Thank you so much.
And thank you for wearing the lab coat.